Okay, guys, welcome to this week's Fife Property Market Update. This is the week beginning the 3rd of April to yesterday, which was the 9th of April itself. Second week in April, see where we are in terms of the property market. This is the start of the fiscal new year. So, Happy New Year to everybody. It was on the 6th of April. If anybody knows it, accountants thing. So we're going to talk about what's driving the property market, what's happened last week in terms of the property market in general, what we've got coming to market as well in the coming week and the weeks after, because we've signed up a lot of properties, so watch out for these ones. We've also been doing the top secret. I'll maybe explain to you what the top secret is as well, and give you a wee bit more information about the wealth creation show as well, and also some of the articles that have come on. Why do I need to do this? Well, it's really to give you more information in order to make an informed decision if you're selling or buying, and that's the whole point of doing it. That's what it comes down to. So, unlike anyone else, our education is completely free. Okay, so let's talk about what's driving the property market. We'll look at the numbers across Fife for last week. Now, as you can see, what I would say, I'll jump back to this one. You'll see 130 down the bottom here, and then you'll see 184 down the bottom here. Well, what had happened last week is a particular estate agent decided to relist all their properties again and skewed all the figures. So you actually think there's a huge amount of properties coming to market when there actually isn't. It's the exact same properties from before. So that's why these numbers are slightly different. And I don't know why they've done that. Possibly they're trying to exaggerate their figures, make themselves look a lot better than they are, but who knows? Maybe they want to answer it on here. Okay, so let's look at the Cooper market. So this is the Cooper market. Now, 6 properties came onto market and 13 properties came under offer and sold in the same week. So you can see clearly demand is still outstripping supply. East Nuke 1 versus 3, again, the similar situation. St Andrews 8 versus 5. There's no surprise with St Andrews. St Andrews, remember, is at the top end of the price point in terms of the Fife market, in terms of the right over Scotland, and probably right over the UK as well, in terms of the top end of the pricing market itself. So there's no surprise. There's not a huge amount of demand for that type of property in the St Andrews area, but they do sell quite well. I mean, every single property we've had come on in St Andrews is sold over the home report value, and it's sold within a really good period of time as well. So so maybe other people are having a different challenge, but we tend to sell everything quite well in the St Andrews area. So Levenmouth 12 came onto market versus 3 actually went under offer and sold. That's maybe a bit misleading because you'd immediately think, wow, that means there's a huge amount of properties coming in Levenmouth, but there's hardly anything being sold. But I'll let you see the monthly figures as well. I'll let you see the yearly figures as well, so we can actually form a factual opinion on what's happening in the market overall right across Fife. Dunfermline's 34 versus 34, so even Stevens. Glenrothes 14 versus 10, Kirkcaldy 55 versus 30. Overall, 130 properties coming to market, 106 actually going under offer and sold in the same period. That's no surprise for this time of year. So it's not surprising. A lot more properties would come on at this time of year in the springtime, because that's generally when everybody else says, the big major portals like Rightmove, like ourselves, like Zoopla, we all say that, this is usually the busiest time when property actually comes on, but then you find that everybody starts to look and starts to get new properties, and then it starts to all speed up again. Say a couple of good evenings. Good evening, Erin. How are you? And good evening, Andrea. Any questions, guys, about the property market, please feel free to ask. Let's jump back to the numbers again. So that was the weekly ones. Let's look at last month, give an indication where March was in comparison. So in Cooper, you can see even Stevens over the Cooper market in last month, because it was a bit up and down all the time every week in last month. So it was a bit difficult to actually predict where we were. But you can see the various markets out there. Same similar situation with the East Nuke area. 9 came on, 8 sold. St Andrews 32, 20 sold. St Andrews, again, as I said before about this price point, there you go. See, Levenmouth, we had 12 and 3 from last week, the week just passed, and yet now in the whole of March, actually 37 came on, but 42 actually went under offer and sold. So demand outstripping supply overall in the Leadenmouth area. Dunfermline 176 versus 149. That's probably driven by a lot of new builds in the Dunfermline area coming onto the market. So that's why you would see a lot more supply. Glenrothes 64 versus 51. First time actually Glenrothes in a long time has actually had that situation where supply is out of a lot more than demand. Kirkcaldy 208 versus 182. So overall, again, similar situation in terms of the numbers. 568 come on, but 500 actually sold. So a long way to go yet. Let's look at some yearly figures. Now, this will give us a good indication about where we are in terms of yearly figures. Good evening, Perry. How are you? Yep, certainly seeing a little uplift. I would agree with that completely. Good evening, Deborah. How are you as well? Okay, so let's jump back to these numbers and let's look at the year. Now, this will be the year from the 1st of April 2021 to the 31st of March. And you can see there. Now, this is right across Fife. The whole amount of properties actually instructed in the year up to, and the whole amount of properties gone under offer and sold. And you can see Cooper market is extremely buoyant. It's basically like for like. If something's coming on, something's getting sold. Same with the East Nuke area, similar situation pattern. St Andrews, again, we've got that similar scenario. St Andrews actually, for the last 2 or 3 years, has actually been about 80%. So I'm not really sure, because then you would think there would be a lot more properties on the market, but maybe people actually decide actually to do off-plan deals possibly, or maybe they actually decide to take off the market and stay where they are. Who knows? But that'd be interesting to know. Anybody in St Andrews, if you want to comment on that number and what your thoughts are on that, I'm more than happy to take your comments on board. Leadenmouth 497 versus 491. Again, even Stevens, Dunfermline. You can see Dunfermline, again, all these new builds coming in. So that's really how to correct a market. You know, if you've got a huge demand in a marketplace, the way to sort that is actually build a lot more. In terms of the rental market as well, I'm going about it all the time about social housing. If you've got a lack of rented accommodation and rents are going up as a result, in order to sort that situation, you want to build more council housing and affordable housing for rent as well. And that then sorts out that situation. Maybe rent controls and legislation don't seem to work, as it's happened recently in the continent. There was a news story in today actually saying it's all gone pear-shaped when they've tried to put rent controls on, and they've had to repeal it and actually change it and turn it around again to sort the market itself. Glenrothes 636 versus 585. You know, even Stevens again, more or less. Kirkcaldy, again, you can see in Kirkcaldy as well, there's a lot more, about 200 more, but that's due to all the new builds now coming on. So there's a lot more people looking to sell, probably to move to the new builds as well. So overall in the year, even Stevens, that's where it is ultimately. We're going to pop on and look at demand. Let's look at demand overall in the last 60 days in our website. So this gives us a good indication about where things are. So the bottom line here is the dotted line is the previous period last year at the same time. So you can see now, last year we actually said at this time last year, demand was really high for property. But you can see the thick blue line there is this year's against last year. And look how much demand there is. That is the demand for property in the Leadenmouth and Cooper and St Andrews and East Nuke and right across Fife area in terms of our website. So demand has gone up quite dramatically in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So you can see there's a huge rise in there. So I think that gives us a strong indication about the market is still here to stay in terms of demand. Let's look. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll stop sharing that now, and I'm going to jump onto Zoopla and show you what Zoopla says. If I can get that up, I'll have to put it on a separate screen so I can share it. Because Zoopla will give us a good indication. Now, last year, we were sitting at round about overall, right across Fife, probably about 700 properties up for sale last year. So I can just share this with you, and we can do this live together. And I'll show you exactly where we are in terms of the numbers. Let me share this screen. See if I can get Zoopla's website onto here. So this is what you can see. I can see it as well. Hopefully that's fine and everybody can see what we can see. Yep. We're going to type in Fife. We're going to type in the number of properties for sale right across throughout Fife. And last year, as I said, about a year ago, we're sitting around about 700 to 720, maybe just a bit before that as well, or like that. Pre-pandemic levels, we're sitting at 1,200 properties in the market for sale right across Fife. And we're sitting currently just now at 482 properties available throughout Fife. There is a long way to go, because if you think about it, and we go back to that original first scenario where we looked at that, how many properties are actually changed in the month itself. In the month of March, it was, and I'll jump, so we've got 482 here. I'll jump back to that screen again, and I'll show you, and I'll tell you what I mean by this. So if you've got 482 there, hopefully I'm not confusing anybody and jumping from place to place. It makes perfect sense to me. So you've got 482 there, and it's been lifted up by this 493 versus 568. You've added about 70 on. So if you're adding on an extra 70 a month, and in order to get back to the 700 from the 482 to now, you're needing another 210. So it's going to take you at least 3 months to even get back to the 700. To get back to the pre-pandemic levels, where it was still busy and a huge supply and huge demand as well, we were at 1,200. So in order to get back to 1,200 from the 700 after 3 months worth, you're looking at number 7, 300, 200. You're talking about 500. You're talking about another 7 months, because that takes you up to about 490 extra. So another 7 months. So another 10 months, exactly like what happened in March, would get you back to pre-pandemic levels. So we can see clearly that possibly that's not going to happen anytime soon. It's going to take a wee while to actually do that, and probably a good 2 or 3 years. For the Fife market, remember, now this is for the Fife market. You know, the Fife market is fairly priced. It's a really good price point, as you'll see. I'll talk about that one in a minute. Fife market is really good price point. It's the average. It's probably around about half the UK price point in terms of house prices. So it makes it a lot more affordable to live in Fife. So a lot more people from outside are actually wanting to come to live in Fife now, because lockdowns actually taught them they can actually work from home, go into the office a couple of times a week, and actually live at an affordable level, which is more affordable than they've got just now, maybe in Glasgow or in Edinburgh or down south. So they're choosing to actually come into the Fife area and actually live and work from home in that area as a result. So that's why the Fife market will take a wee bit of time, and it's a strong reflection of what really happens in the UK overall. Okay, so Andrea actually said, would be interesting to know what percentage of house sales in Fife are because people are moving out of the area and newcomers coming in. Okay, well, that's a challenge for you for next week, Andrea, because you're my PA. So you can work on that number for next week, and we'll update you with that as well. So let's talk about properties over the line. So properties over the line this week. Now, I talk about this quite often every single week, but why do I talk about that? It's not to gloat. It's to give you a real good, strong indication about what we are selling, how quick they're selling, but also what price point they're at. I've been recently asked by a lot of people out there. I'll take that off now. I've been recently asked when I go out to people and actually value their properties. They've been saying, really, I don't actually think it's worth that much. But what they don't realize is they've been in it so long, and the price has actually increased so much since then over the last 10 or 15 years they've been in there. They don't have any perspective of the real value of the property. So when they're actually beginning to realize what the value of the property is, they're going, well, okay, that actually gives me a lot more choices in what I would want to do. Maybe I would want to sell up and downsize because I didn't realize there was so much value in my property. Maybe I'd want to sell up and actually move into rent accommodation. Maybe I want to sell up and move abroad. Maybe, these are all different options. And that's why I talk about the price points of the properties. We don't actually, it's not about really being sold. Sold just says, okay, that was it sold. But the more important thing is, what was it on it in the first place? And that gives you a real good indication about the price of these types of properties right now as a seller and potentially as a buyer as well. So let's talk about 2 or 3 of them just now. Okay, so this is a Therney Road. Now, a Therney Road actually came on the market with us. It offers over 70,000. Now, 2-bedroom flats and apartments in the Leavenmouth area were selling 2 or 3 years ago around about the 55,000 mark, but now they're around about 70,000. So if you have these types of properties, it might give you more choice to actually possibly upgrade as well. I mean, it's like for like to a degree, but potentially it gives you a lot more choice. So that's why we talk about the price point of this. So this sold in 2 days, offers over 70,000. I'll be able to tell you once it concludes and keys are handed over what it actually went for, but fair to say it was over the home report value. So the next one here is Main Street in Colnesborough. Most people have actually seen that in the Main Street, actually just past the petrol station as you go out on your right hand side towards Anstruther, on the Anstruther, Colnesborough, towards the Colnesborough Strait. Now this sold in 3 days, actually for an offer the seller couldn't refuse, and other people actually missed out as a result. And this was a 3-bedroom terraced house. I've got to say the back garden is actually amazing and actually looking over the countryside as well. So why would anybody not want this property? Now this was on at offers over 150,000, and this sold for an offer the seller couldn't refuse. So if you've got a property like this, again, it gives you a good indication about the price point of your property. Skeith Road and Cellar Dyke. No, this is actually Tarvit. This is Tarvit. We're missing one. Okay, let's talk about Tarvit first. So Tarvit Drive in Cooper, that sold in 3 days for a record price in the area in Cooper. Other people missed out. It was a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. New owner was delighted with their family home, and that was on at offers over 220,000. So that's what these types of properties are actually selling for. I'm going to quickly talk about Skeith Road. So Skeith Road and Cellar Dyke, this actually sold for off market. That's probably why we don't have a photograph of it. This actually never made it to any pre-portal. It never made it to any website either, and it never made it to a top secret either. It actually got sold off market for an offer and the conditions the seller could not refuse. This was a 2-bedroom house in Skeith Road, and the valuation of it was 200,000. New owners thrilled with their family home, but this is what I'm saying to most people. This is why we tell people you need to register with us direct. You need to tell us you're looking for a house to buy and what type of house you're looking to buy as well. The reason for that is because if you were looking for a place in Skeith Road and Cellar Dyke, and it was a 2-bedroom house around about the 200,000 price point, well, you've missed it because it's sold. It's sold off market. It never actually made it to a website. It sold off of our database before anybody else could get it. So it never went to anywhere, to social media or anything. Never had a walkthrough, never had pictures, never had a description. It just sold off market. So that's why it's really important that you register with us direct. Give us your details because we can tell you about properties when they come into market or when they're possibly coming to market, or if somebody wants to do an off-market deal and you're that person, it could make them an offer that they can't refuse. So don't miss out. Register direct with us. You can message us direct on this post. You can contact us on 01334 65 42 21 or any of the numbers for your area. But more importantly, so you can buy your dream home without missing out on it, without even knowing about it, you need to register with us as a result. Okay, so what is coming soon? Let's talk about what's coming soon. Why did I tell you what's coming soon? It's kind of like the top secret. So top secret is all about valuations, properties that we've actually been out to value. So we're giving you advance notice on our social media channels. You need to follow our social media channels in order to find out about our top secret properties. Now, we've been out to value them, and what we're doing is we're telling you roughly where the area is. So, for example, if I go out to value a property in a 3-bedroom house in a traditional style house in Cellar Dyke, for example, I did one the other week, and it was a semi-detached and it was period property, I would tell you in a top secret. I've been out in that area and what type of property it is. I'll also tell you what the price point valuation that we were looking at as well in terms of price point. And that ticks your boxes. That gives you an advance notice before we even get to a video or a pre-portal that possibly it might be coming to market. It also gives you the opportunity to probably do an off-market deal as well. If you're willing to make the seller an offer they can't refuse, it might not even get to anybody. It might not. Nobody else might find out about this at all if you're in line for this. So that's why we took top secret. That's what that's all about. So follow our social media channels to make sure. Also, make sure you subscribe for our YouTube channel. Subscribing for our YouTube channel actually gives you advance notice as well, because as soon as we actually put something on YouTube, because it goes on YouTube before it goes on a website. So you actually get to see our properties before they're just about to go on a website. So you're getting almost 24 hours notice before it goes on. So if you're not into social media and you don't actually follow social media that well, and you don't pick up on social media, or you miss out on the property when we do a pre-portal by accident, at least you've got something else online for 24 hours before it goes on a website that you'll actually see it on our YouTube channel. So that's why it's important to go into YouTube, look up Fife Properties, and just subscribe to our channel. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you follow us as a result. You'll get lots of helpful tips and guides as well on there. There's over 140 tips and guides, the ones that we actually talk about, the shows and stuff like that, how to do anything and everything. All this information is free, and we're divulging this all to you so you can be in possession of the facts to make an informed decision about what you want to do next. Okay, let's talk about what's coming to market then. Sandy Craig Road in Pittenweem. You'll have seen me do the pre-portal on Friday. That was a 3-bedroom detached bungalow, amazing property inside. That's going to come in at offers over 360,000, as I said in the pre-portal launch. 325. Somebody will go, wait a minute, that's changed. 325,000. That's going to be coming in at. In terms of the price point. Upper Dalgarian and Cooper, I can't tell you about the price point just now because these ones are coming soon. That's a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. Links Road and Leven, I did do a pre-portal on that. That's a 3-bedroom detached house. That's a period property. That's the one that offers over 360,000. I did a pre-portal on Friday as well. Look out on our social media channels for the Levenmouth page to see that one. King Edward Street in Markinch, that's a 1-bedroom apartment. We're coming soon. King Street in St Andrews, 2-bedroom ground floor apartment. We also have another one in King Street in St Andrews, a 2-bedroom upper apartment. Main Street, Collinsborough, another one here as well, a 2-bedroom semi-detached house. You'll have seen me do a pre-portal on that. That's an amazing property, and that isn't on the main road. You actually go in to the driveway, and you have a parking to the rear as well, which overlooks the countryside. You have your own separate garden across the drive itself, and then you have an own front garden as well, and you go into this beautiful property. Absolutely amazing inside. Dining kitchen, main lounge, 2 bedrooms, 1 ensuite, and an amazing bathroom as well. So that one I'd actually just done a pre-portal on the East Nook Fife Properties page. So watch out for these ones coming soon. More and more are getting signed up all the time. And again, advance notice, make sure you're in line for that. So completed this week. This is keys handed over. Now, why did I tell you this? Because it gives you good indication as well where things are. 529 Wellesley Road in Methil, 2-bedroom ground floor apartment, sold in 3 weeks. Actually sold under home report value. Would you believe it? Probably one of the very first times we've actually sold that. But somebody was actually delighted with a new investment, and it was sold at £36,000. Wow. 10 Shan Street and Terrace, 10 Shan Terrace in East Weems, 2-bedroom semi-detached house. It's sold in 1 week for a record 21% over the home report value, and that was another 25,000 more. So it gives you an indication about where you're looking for. That was 145,000 that sold for. That was a 2-bedroom semi-detached house in Shan Terrace in Terrace in East Weems. So that gives you a good indication about what the price point of these properties are. Now, just to tell you about Shan Terrace in East Weems, that went for £145,000, a 2-bedroom semi-detached, and there was 9 other people that missed out on that property. So if you're in the East Weems area and you have a similar type of property to the one in Shan Terrace, 2-bedroom semi-detached, it is round about the 145,000 mark, but also there's 9 other people chasing your type of property at this moment in time. So this might give you a lot of flexible choices, possibly to upgrade or downgrade as a result of knowing that price point now. That's the reason I tell you this, okay? I'll just finish off briefly because we've just gone a wee bit more than what we should have done just to round things up a bit. We had done a couple of shows yesterday and the day before. I had actually done one, and they're on this link anyway, the podcast, the video, and also the article itself about selling in spring, what to expect, new style trends, and the top viewing tips. It was a total masterclass on how to get even more money as a seller for your property, and how, as a buyer, to negotiate a better price point for you as a buyer. So we educated people on both sides on this in this scenario. So it's, if you want to know information on all what we do and how we do it, It's all in that show and that podcast as well. I did a brief 5 big benefits of a smart home as well. That's on there. Watch the YouTube video if you like. More than happy if you can watch that. You can click on it in here. Richard's doing the wealth creation show tomorrow. I'll be overseas tomorrow, so I won't be able to do the wealth creation show. But Richard's absolutely fantastic at this. He's going to be talking about property refurbishment what you should do in property refurbishment to add complete value to your property and actually increase that end price point. Either if you want to remortgage or want to reinvest the money, or if you want to possibly as a homeowner, if you want to get the best value as a seller for your property. So watch out for that tomorrow at 12:30. Richard will be on live on the Wealth Creation Show in order to show you how to get the best value for your property and your investment return as well if you're an investor. Richard has a wealth of experience as a lettings director for Fife Property, and he's been with us for over 10 years now. So has a huge amount of experience in the buy-to-let market in terms of what he's doing. So that's a wealth creation show. And finally, just to recap, we always have our instant valuation tool on here. Now, why do we put the instant valuation tool on here? Because it gives you an instant valuation for your house. It also gives you an instant for selling. It also gives you an instant valuation for a rental valuation for if you're wanting to rent your property as well. So there's 2 sides of this instant valuation tool that we use, and it gives you the good information and good feedback. Now, it has 3 different levels in each category. The top one is your house is in pristine condition. It's new kitchen, new bathroom, decorated, carpeted, all the way throughout. The middle one is your property is you could move in and you could do the bathroom, the kitchen, the decoration as you go. The bottom valuation in that scenario is you've got to do some work on your property before anybody should move in. It probably needs a new kitchen, new bathroom, and new decoration, new carpets. So there's 3 different levels of valuation, and you could actually adjust and find out from that value, these valuations for rental and for sale, where your property would fit into that. If you want a wee bit further guidance, then we're more than happy to give you that guidance, probably in a telephone conversation if you want. It's no trouble to do that. That is what we're here for, to give you the right education and the right information to make decisions based on fact rather than someone else's opinion. That's the most important point for you. And that's it, guys. So until next time, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties TV, and thanks for joining me.